Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to the channel and welcome as always to our coffee times. Today, buckle up because we're here to talk about Spiral.
It's coffee time.
Now, when the first Saw movie came out and I watched it, I was blown away by it. It was mind-blowing to me, and I have loved and cherished that first Saw movie so much. And as the Saw movies went on, as the franchise moved forward, I started to lose all my interest and on the franchise, and I was a little bit skeptic about this new installment. I was excited in a way to see them doing something new or fresh with it. That's at least what was advertised. But I was also scared because I didn't know what to think of Chris Rock being here, our main character in such a movie. I know he's a fan of the franchise, but does it mean that he has to be the main character in the next movie? I don't know. We shall see. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about everything that I liked maybe and disliked probably in this spoiler-free review. If you love horror movies and collectibles, please consider subscribing to the channel before you leave if you're not subscribed yet, and also hit the notification bell. Spiral from the Book of Saw is an American horror film that serves as the 9th installment in the Saw film series. The film stars Chris Rock, Max Minghella, Marisol Nichols, and Samuel L. Jackson. The film follows police efforts to stop a Jigsaw copycat killer. When it comes to the expectations of the movie, everybody had very different opinions. It was kind of a divided situation because we were not sure if this movie was going to successfully kind of reignite the franchise properly, if it was going to take it to a different direction that would kind of revamp the whole franchise. Now, in my opinion, it backfired. Is this the worst movie I've ever seen? No. But was this a Saw movie? Questionable. This movie is trying to renew the saga, but it kind of felt like a police thriller investigation with a layer, like a painted layer over it of Saw. But did it feel really like a Saw movie? Not really to me. In the movie, we follow a detective working in the shadow of his father. He is Zeke and is played by Chris Rock. Now, there is a case that is handed to him and they discover that it might be a copycat from Jigsaw, and that is where our movie starts. We have our very first kill in the first minutes of the movie. It is a kill in which somebody is in a trap and they're given a couple of options. However, it is very clear from the beginning that this person cannot escape the trap. The movie was directed by Darren Lynn Bousman, and this will be his fourth of the series. In the torture scenes, we still have the same jittery camera work and stuttery editing that we have come to expect from him. Honestly, apart from the kills that are very much like Jigsaw, even though not quite, but we will get to that later. Apart from that, this movie doesn't really have much of Saw as a franchise, so I was really surprised to see that this movie also had only a couple of kills and that was it. So even though those kills were gory and nice, it was just not enough, at least to satisfy me as a horror lover. I don't really know if they mentioned the name of Jigsaw. I think they just said he's back, which was really interesting to me as well. Why would they say that? And also the tapes that our killer is leaving behind, the voice doesn't really work. It's almost laughable. I mean, it is really hard to bring something new after having Tobin Bell and his voice, his memorable voice. If you bring now new tapes with this new voice, they just really didn't work for me. As the title probably implies, this is not a direct sequel. It's kind of like a movie based on the Saw universe, and it is a movie in which cops are being targeted to be the victims of these copycat killer because they've been bad cops and they have to pay for it. And Zeke, our main character, is a good cop, and that is why he is in charge of trying to figure out why this guy is trying to kill all the cops. Now, this kind of political statement, I was not really against that, but it didn't really work out when you watch the end of the movie. And honestly, the ending was one of the most disappointing parts about this movie. Now let's talk about Chris Rock taking the main role in this movie. I know he's a fan of the franchise, and I know he really wanted to bring this project to life, and honestly, the movie is somewhat entertaining, and my favorite part was to see how gory actually the deaths were. That I really enjoyed that. However, him as a main character, it was just so not believable for me. It started quite well, but at some point I was extremely annoyed by the way that he was acting with his character. He cannot be sentimental and serious. There's something about him that it just didn't work. Most of the time he was like squinting his eyes like this when he wanted to be serious, and all I could see is him going on the camera and being like this all the time, and I swear I just could not stop just being annoyed by that. So, you know, it might be just my taste, but I just did not feel like he fit this character as I expected. There's also a lot of humor, a lot of jokes are being made in the movie, and for the most part I didn't really mind. But I feel like maybe they pushed it too far with the comedy aspect of the movie. I feel like, you know, if you want to make a couple of jokes, okay, but don't take it too far, because especially at the beginning of the movie, it felt like, is this horror movie? Is this a dark comedy? Like, the tone of the movie was really confusing at times. The problem is also that most of the characters, if not all of the characters, were kind of dull characters. Like, I didn't really care much about them. I didn't feel like they got a proper character arc, and it was very forgettable as a movie. Like, it's one of those movies you watch it once, okay, bye, you know, that's it. And I was not really invested. I was at the beginning, probably because I was really excited to go back to the cinema and get a new Saw movie from the Saw franchise, allegedly. But you know, there was a point of the movie where I just wanted it to end, to be honest. I was like, okay, I think we're done. We can roll the credits, people. I think one of my biggest problems with this movie was the traps. The traps were nice to see, but it was cleared from the very first victim that they could not win. There was no way that they could escape, and so you already know that they're all gonna die. And that's taking away all the fun, all the tension, all the excitement, all the thrill, and it's just kind of, you're sitting there waiting to see the things happen that you already know are gonna happen, and that takes away so much fun from the movie, honestly. They changed the trademark score and the coloring of the movie, and I guess hoping to update it to do something a bit different with it. And for me specifically, the score failed miserably. The soundtrack that they chose for this movie, I didn't like it. I didn't feel like it was fitting this movie, this horror movie. Like I said, there was such big problems for me when it comes to the tone of the movie. Almost as if this movie didn't know what it wanted to be, and it's weird because you're making a movie based on the Saw franchise, allegedly. So you probably should know what the tone of your movie is going to be, and I feel like they were a little bit lost on what they exactly wanted to achieve with this film. This movie almost felt like a generic serial killer movie, and it is a reminder of how important some villains and some characters in some franchises are, and how hard it's to make a movie replacing them. I just feel like this movie really missed the mark. In the end, I gave this movie a total of 2.5 out of 5. I felt like, I mean, it's not the worst movie I've ever seen, and it did have some good moments. I feel like this political statement that they wanted to bring about, you know, police brutality and police being like dirty cops and everybody covering all of these things in the department, I felt like at the beginning it was kind of working, and then it didn't work anymore, and towards the end it became so extremely cliche and predictable. I could see the end coming for like miles away, and the ending was so extremely disappointing. The twist didn't work, and that is why I can only give it like a pass. For me, 2.5 means it's a movie that you can watch one time maybe, that's okay, but you know, it was not a memorable movie. I feel like if you're a really hardcore fan of the franchise and you want to know what they did with it and the fresh take that they wanted to make, that it was not that fresh at all and it kind of backfired in my humble opinion, give it a chance. Otherwise, spiral your way out of this sequel. Alright you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this spoiler-free movie review. Let me know down below if you have watched the movie, if you love the franchise in general, and which has been your favorite movie from the franchise. Of course, for me, it's always been the first Saw movie, and I will go as far as telling you that I enjoyed Jigsaw more than Spiral. I think that already says a lot. So anyways, you guys, let's talk about the franchise in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you all guys as always in our next coffee time. Bye!